Hello, this is Virtualis the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. The Vienna game can result in some fun and weird aggressive lines that remind me of games that I played as a beginner, despite playing other intermediate players now. I'm going to talk about two recent games that I won using the Vienna game, where the opponent blunders spectacularly, almost artistically. Please enjoy. So let's have a look at the review of the first game. And the first unusual thing should be this flat line, no advantage at either side, 100% accuracy on both sides. How did I win? Now, if you look, we both only played book moves, and on my first move, after the book moves, after the book openings, the player resigned because they had lost, thought they had lost. Now, how did this happen? Let's go to the analysis. All right, so the Vienna starts with e4, e5, knight c3. The opponent plays bishop to b4, which is the Shurulev counter gambit, immediately attacking that knight. Now, in this game, I decided to try to punish the opponent by moving their bishop out of the way and no longer defending that pawn on g7 by the move queen to g4. The opponent develops their knight to f6. Of course, I take the pawn, and the opponent thought that they had made a serious blunder, and so resigned the game after move 4. Now, the interesting thing here is, even though that this looks like a devastatingly bad position for black, they are actually equal. That if you play, the perfect line down this pathway, white and black at this moment are actually equal, even though it looks absolutely terrible for black. This is just a very curious position to me. But that was the that was the result of the first game. Now let's have a look at the second game. So here we have the second game, the review, and again, a relatively short game, once again, I think only 13 moves, and I did, well, I suppose objectively, if you look at computer accuracy, it's not that well, but I won with checkmate. And the opponent had 4 blunders, and they're rated at almost 1200. And this is one of the things that happens with the Vienna when people are really just out of their comfort zone. Now let's on to analysis. So again, e4, e5, knight c3. I think the opponent was really unsure what to do here, so decided to push a flank pawn, a6. Now I decided to shut that down. I didn't want the opponent to do a queenside attack by, for example, advancing pawn to b5. Now that effectively stops it. So a4 stops that, given that if they try to capture back, it would be they would hang their rook. So now next they develop a knight to f6, and this basically invites f4, or what looks like the Vienna gambit. It's not exactly the Vienna gambit, given that some other pawn moves have taken place. They capture, which allows for e5, which causes a big problem for the opponent, given that all the escape squares for the knight are defended, with the exception of retreating back to g8, so undeveloping the knight. And if you look at the analysis from the computer, that is actually the best move. They undeveloped the knight. I developed my other knight. I think it's relatively important to prevent the queen from coming out with check. And they bring out c6, knight to c6. I defend that pawn with d4, and also opening up the diagonal for my bishop to potentially capture that now hanging pawn. They bring out their bishop, I capture their pawn. Another flank pawn move, h6. Again, I think the opponent really just wasn't sure what to do. I now develop my other bishop so that I can castle. Opponent captures that pawn, and it's like, whatever, that is basically defended. I decided to I decided to be a bit cheeky here and castle first. They capture my other knight, which seems like a very natural move, but now that allows for queen to capture, lining up the rook and queen as a battery and facing down the weak pawn on f7. And the moment I move that bishop out of the way, it's not looking good for the opponent. They make a knight move, which doesn't really achieve very much for them. I now capture that pawn on h6. So computer reckon it's brilliant. Well, thank you very much. And at the moment, they are looking potentially at checkmate. And the reality is that they have only one move, one valid move, which is rook to f8, defending that pawn. Of course, that's still a huge problem given the next move allows bishop to capture that pawn. They spent about 3 minutes, and I thought they were trying to work out what was the best move, and I was completely puzzled when they moved the king sidewards to f8, given that does not prevent checkmate. So checkmate it was. Good game. GG. I enjoyed that game, and again, this game is an evidence of what can happen, just the wildness that can occur when you play the Vienna. I think that many people who learn chess start by learning the Italian game, which definitely helps develop good opening principles. Playing the Vienna can result in some opponents being completely out of their comfort zone by move 2, which I think result in some of these unexpected and interesting games. Thanks for watching.